Audible's romance collection has something to satisfy every side of you. When it comes to what kind of romance you're into, you don't have to choose just one. Fancy a dalliance with a duke, or maybe a steamy billionaire. You could find a book boyfriend in the city and another one tearing it up on the hockey field. And if nothing on this earth satisfies, you can always find love in another realm. Discover modern rom-coms from authors like Lily Chu and Ali Hazelwood, the latest romantasy series from Sarah J. Maas and Rebecca Yarros, plus Regency favorites like Bridgerton and Outlander. And of course, all the really steamy stuff. Your first great love story is free when you sign up for a free 30-day trial at audible.com/Wondery. That's audible.com/Wondery.
AFR On Demand is brought to you by Breck Golf. Try Beaver Creek today, just 20 minutes from downtown Baton Rouge in the Zachary area. They've got a PGA Tour driving range, a short game practice area, 30 to 40-yard practice shots. It's a great place to chip and putt and practice if you don't have time for a full round. Book your tee time today, golf.breck.org, golf.breck.org.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from downtown Baton Rouge.
Let's ride!
And off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. AFR, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. I'm Matt. Shut up, kid. Paul O'Neill.
They're chanting Paul O'Neill's name.
Musso. And Mr. Toby Tom play. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. Get out there and make it a good one. Shea Dixon in 15 minutes. Mike Greenberg. Old Greenie will be here in an hour and 15 minutes. Greenberg is scheduled to be here in an hour and 15 minutes. We went down this road once before we got stood up. But looking forward to talking to Greenie next hour. Ton to do. Let's begin as we do every single day.
It's time to pop the top on another edition of AFR with Bud Light. Drink easy.
Just a smidge of breaking news that does, in fact, involve the New Orleans Saints. The New York Football Giants. Breaking news. Thank you. The New York Giants have named Jackson Dart their starting quarterback this weekend against the Los Angeles Chargers. So the Giants are 0-3. Russell Wilson and the Giants pretty impotent offensively on Sunday Night Football against the Chiefs. And now they take on the Chargers. And you may say to yourself, Matt, well, how does that affect the New Orleans Saints? Jackson Dart plays for the Giants, and this week they play the Chargers.
Matt, how does that affect the New Orleans Saints? Jackson Dart plays for the Giants, and this week they play the Chargers.
Glad you asked. Well, next week, the New York Football Giants will be in the Superdome against your New Orleans Saints. So, appears as though Saints will have an opportunity in Week 5 on their home field to take on rookie quarterback Jackson Dart, who at that time should be making his second career start. Probably an opportunity as we kind of paced out. No one's expecting the Saints to win this week. They're a giant 16.5-point underdog at Buffalo. But they'll come home against the Giants and the Patriots, and they have an opportunity to win both of those games. So, not saying they will. I'm saying they have an opportunity to get both those games. They will be facing a rookie quarterback in Jackson Dart in the Dome a week from Sunday. All right, it's after further review, and glad you're hanging out with us here. Shea will be here in about a dozen minutes or so. We'll talk some recruiting. Both Brian Kelly and Lane Kiffin kicked off LSU Ole Miss week meeting with reporters on Monday. And Lane Kiffin, as he is wont to do, is subtle sometimes with his backhanded compliments and his jabs and his trolling. And I think he did that a couple of times during his weekly press conference. And the first question right out the chute, I mean, the first question of the press conference for Lane Kiffin on Monday was about LSU and their transfer portal class defensively. And it's interesting because, boy, there ain't nobody in college football who has been more married to the transfer portal than Ole Miss. But that first question out the chute was about how LSU got better so quickly in the transfer portal. Here's what Lane Kiffin said.
Well, I think second year in a system defensively helps a lot of times, and they've improved their personnel also. You know, you got 3 of the 4 starting D linemen are portal guys, 3 of the 4 secondary D line are portal guys. So they've done a great job with that. They've heavily financially invested into the portal and made that decision. That's no secret. Coach Kelly's talked about that, how much money they've spent, and it shows. Those are 3 guys that were heavily recruited and probably the 3 most expensive portal DBs in the market. And they got them all. So they did a great job with that. And now they're coaching them really well, and they're playing great.
Most expensive guys in the portal. Just had to throw that out there, huh? And by the way, he's not wrong at all. LSU did go ham in the portal. I've talked about it. We've all talked about it. Brian Kelly did mention the dollar amount that LSU spent. And they have dramatically upgraded their roster because of the portal. And oh, by the way, that's something Brian Kelly said point blank. He was asked on Monday, the question was about Jake Olson and how much credit Jake Olson deserves for developing the safety room. And Brian Kelly, when asked about Jake Olson, veered a complete 90-degree angle on this answer.
Blake's a better defensive coordinator. You know, Kevin Peoples is a better edge coach. We're all better. I'm a better coach because we haven't lost the game. All of these things have to do with your players ultimately are playing the game. Again, we're getting more experienced and veteran players on the field. And from a coaching standpoint, let's not overrate this. We've got better players.
He knows it point blank. By the way, the highest rated defensive back in the portal was Dylan Thieneman, who LSU did want, but he went from Purdue to Oregon. He did not pick LSU, as a matter of fact. As I scroll through the portal rankings, not that it matters tremendously, Tacario Davis was the highest-rated cornerback, and he went to Washington. Trying to scroll here. Jeremiah Wilson was the second highest-rated cornerback. He ended up at Florida State. There's A.J. Hulsey. A.J. Hulsey was the 30th ranked overall player in the portal. He did end up at LSU. Not that it necessarily really matters, but the point that I'm making here is Lane Kiffin is the self-proclaimed portal king. No, really. That's not me saying it. He put out this tweet at 8:58 a.m. on January 31st of 2022. It's Lane Kiffin dressed up like the Tiger King. It's the Tiger King with his face, and over the tiger, it says portal. And it says Portal King. Lane Kiffin is described as he is the self-described, self-proclaimed portal king. And I think he's a little sour that somebody is beating him at his own game. But Lane wasn't done because Lane also took another sort of a little backhanded compliment maybe at LSU and the coaching staff when he talked about how close this rivalry has been.
I would think stats would show they've had a lot more draft picks probably over that time, but they've been good matchups all the way back to the first one down there, in which we were ahead and should have won, and the last one down there that we were ahead the entire game last year. So really competitive matchup. Glad that it's competitive because it looks like we're going to keep playing this matchup. So exciting for the fans.
So LSU, you look back, they've had more draft picks, but boy, it's been really close. Boy, we were way ahead in that one in the first year. That was the COVID year in 2020. They were way ahead and should have won. And then last year, we were way ahead and should have won. And you know what happened, Lane? You didn't. You didn't win those games because despite the fact that you have been the portal king and your program and boosters have invested tremendously in the portal and you have elevated Ole Miss out of the runt status where they're the bottom feeder in the SEC to respectability, admittedly, respectability. You have not yet been able to get over that hump. And brother, that's coaching. That's your fault. Listen, I think Lane Kiffin is a really good offensive mind. I don't even think that's debatable. Very good offensive coach and a good head coach. But what separates really good coaches and the elite level coaches are the ones that have the opportunity, have the roster to go win championships and do. You know what Ole Miss is? Ole Miss is a team that a year ago had the best roster alongside Ohio State in college football. Those two teams last year, people forget this, and I'm not going to let you forget it. Those two teams last year spent more money than any other program in the portal, and they had the best rosters. That bore out in the NFL draft. Ole Miss set a school record for number of draft picks in this last spring's draft. They got Walter Nolan and Princely Umanmielen and Trey Amos and Chris Paul and Trey Harris, and they went in the portal and went ham. And they got better at the line of scrimmage, and they were great on defense and all this sort of stuff. And they lost at home as a 15.5-point favorite to Kentucky. They lost on the road as a 3.5-point favorite at LSU. As Lane Kiffin just said, they led the whole way and should have won. And they lost on the road as an 11.5-point favorite at Florida. 9-3, 3 losses, all as favorites, 2 of those as double-digit favorites. Why? Well, brother, it ain't because of your talent. It's because of coaching. It's because you get 3 possessions in the red zone against Florida, and you decide to keep running a fat defensive lineman on 4th down instead of kicking field goal, taking points, you would have won the game. You'd been in the playoff. Might have won a national championship. Didn't. Why? Coaching. You can take all the pot shots you want. Hell, I think it's funny. I like the trolling. I love the take the over tweet when his daughter and Whit Weeks announced their relationship on social media. I think it's hilarious. I do think he's hilarious. I think he's good for college football. Don't think you're going to go unchecked when you start taking shots about what other people are doing in the portal, when that's been your MO and you keep coming up short. Don't let Brian Kelly come in there, old Swag Kelly come in there, old Vaught Hemingway, that glorified high school stadium, and put a pounding on you on Saturday. Old self-proclaimed portal king. Kick rocks. All right, we got a lot to talk about today. It's After Further Review. Our show open every day is brought to you by Bud Light. Drink easy with the great taste of Bud Light. The official beer of AFR, the official beer of the LSU Tigers, official beer of the New Orleans Saints. Hey, if you're heading up to Oxford for that game this weekend, don't buy your beer in Mississippi. Can you even buy beer in Mississippi? Do they allow that? Isn't it just like a dry everywhere? Anyway, buy your beer in Louisiana. Buy the officially licensed LSU Bud Light cans and bottles. 12-ounce cans, 16-ounce bottles. My friend Courtney Morgan over at Mockler, she's the one who designed these cans. These are designed locally, right here in Baton Rouge. Did a great job with them. The white cans are a hat tip to LSU's tradition of wearing white jerseys at home. So drink easy with the great taste of Bud Light, the official beer of AFR, the official beer of your Fighting Tigers of LSU. Okay, let's knock out a quick break. Brought to you by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. When we come back, we'll catch up with Shea Dixon from On 3, the Bengal Tiger. Talk a little Cruton. If you got questions for Shea, you can email us, tweet us, or text us in the 225-396-4400, 396-4400, 396-4400. It's AFR.
After Further Review.
Y'all, if your AC is not keeping up, it's not cooperating, call our friends over at River City's 1 Hour Air. 752-0001, 752-0001, 752-0001, or 1hourbr.com. Spell it out, O-N-E, 1hourbr.com for River City's 1 Hour Air. No matter who comes to your house, you're always going to have an exceptional customer service experience. Judy sent this 5-star Google review, said they're on time and they're good at calling you when they're on their way. I'm impressed with River City's 1 Hour Air. Mr. Bobby was very nice and helpful when breaking down what he recommended for my AC. Another 5-star Google review, and that's something I always want to point out. If you're worried that they're going to try to force service on you, that is not River City's 1 Hour Air's MO. They will give you options, a good, better, and best option, and you decide what's best for your budget. 752-0001, 752-0001, where they're always on time or you don't pay a dime.
After Further Review, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
We got more quarterback news. Started the show with a little tidbit about Jackson Dart, who apparently is going to make his first career start this weekend against the Chargers for the Giants. Of course, Dart and the Giants will be in New Orleans a week from Sunday. This is on the college level, and very, very, very significant news here. On 3, this is from Sooner Scoop. Sooner Scoop is reporting that Oklahoma quarterback John Mateer has suffered a thumb injury on his throwing hand. and could miss 3 or more weeks. Wow. John Mateer is the betting favorite for the Heisman Trophy right now. And, of course, Oklahoma just beat Auburn at home, which is a significant win. Now, as you look at their schedule, and there are landmines all over this thing. We've talked about this with Oklahoma. While I think they're a better team this year than they were a year ago, the thing that could prevent them from achieving great things, being a playoff team, is this schedule. They just beat Auburn. They have an open date this week, by the way. So they have an open date, and then they play Kent State. So that's a good opportunity for John Mateer to chill for a couple of weeks. But then they get Texas, and then they're at South Carolina. That would be the next 3 to 4 weeks. Open date, Kent State, Texas, and then the grind comes. At South Carolina, Ole Miss, at Tennessee, at Alabama, Missouri, LSU. So not that you ever want to have this happen, but if it could come at any point on the schedule that Oklahoma could handpick, it would probably be right now, where you go open date, Kent State, and see how it may play out. But John Mateer, thumb injury, according to Sooner Scoop, could miss 3 weeks or more. Shea Dixon on 3, the Bengal Tiger, good enough to join us on Tuesdays. He's with us now. Shady, how are you, man?
I'm doing well. You got me loud and clear?
Yeah, man. Appreciate you as always.
Then I should add on, Matt. After that, you talk about a gauntlet. After at Texas, at South Carolina, Ole Miss, at Tennessee, at Bama, Missouri, LSU, everyone but South Carolina is ranked in the top 20.
Yeah. I mean, do you have the two teams that I think I was looking earlier today. I actually did the podcast with Neil McCready, covers Ole Miss, and we were running through some of this stuff, and I was looking at my projected order of finish before the year. And the two teams that I think I missed the most on were Tennessee and Oklahoma. And with Oklahoma, I wasn't sold on Mateer, and I looked at the schedule and was like, man, I don't know how they navigate this. I thought, they're probably a 7-5 football team. I think I certainly missed there as far as them being 7-5, undeniably. But that gauntlet is crazy. If you were trying to project them at this point, what would you think?
Without John Mateer, with that schedule, I mean, remember, Michael Hawkins was one of the 2 guys that they started last year, and I thought that Jackson Arnold was better, and they let Jackson Arnold go to Auburn. They keep Hawkins and bring in Mateer to start. And I was reading Sooner Scoop. Sooner Scoop is the Oklahoma on 3 page. I heard you talking about that. Mm-hmm. So I clicked onto it, and they've already got the stories up that Venables is saying they're moving forward with Michael Hawkins. That's a guy who, beyond the Navy, like if we're just talking SEC games, last year he threw for about 130 yards a game.
I mean, that offense was brutal. And I know there was a lot of thought that it wasn't Jackson Arnold. It was all the injuries at receiver and so on. I'm certain there's validity to that. There's a piece of that, but that certainly isn't the whole thing here. Yeah, by the way, Sooner Scoop has a video up right now of Brent Venables making that announcement. You can't see this, can you? Oh, you can. Okay. Of Brent Venables making the announcement, and some video of Hawkins there from a year ago, and warming up from earlier this year. That could be, depending on the severity here with Mateer, that could be seismic in college football. We'll see. He's on Twitter at Shea Dixon. Shea, I know we missed you last week. You were a little under the weather, but we haven't had a chance to speak since LSU got the commitment from Peyton Pop Houston. Would love your reaction to that now, a couple of weeks old.
Gosh, yeah, in that span, I could sick one time, and the kid's out there recruiting the whole class. He's on social media doing exactly what you want a quarterback to do, but for those that don't know, he's a junior in high school, so he's part of this 2027 class. I have to say this stuff out loud because I confuse the years. I've done this too long. I don't even know what year it currently is on the date, let alone what their year these classifications are. But junior in high school, and they didn't have any commits yet for next year's class. And Matt, it's a group. I was talking with Charles Power, our director of scouting and On 3 and rankings, and he was like, look, every few years we say it, but this next year for Louisiana is about as deep as they get. And I think there's 13, 14 kids from Louisiana. He's one of them, Peyton Houston, who are ranked in the Rivals 300. And every one of them already have an offer from LSU that all came before they even started their junior years. So getting a guy like that alone, like if you're a quarterback is your first commit and he's going to be an active recruiter, I think that's great. Like it's like what Lamar Brown does right now, right? And but he's not a quarterback. But having Peyton Houston kind of lead the way there is going to attract a lot of these kids to not stay home because of him. But hey, look, we can play with Peyton Houston, and he's got us in group text. He's doing all these different things that go a long way with kids who are that age when agents, recruiters, coaches, parents, none of them are involved, and they can kind of just talk like kids, and he'll spearhead that. But boy, he made that move to Evangel last year and set the state passing record. And hell, if you set an Evangel passing record, you're good enough for me.
Right.
If you do it in 5A for the whole state of Louisiana, that's even more impressive. I think it's ridiculous. I think he threw for 800 and something yards in a game that they lost to Captain Shreve by a point. It was like 77-76. But he's just he gets so many reps. He's got a great completion percentage, throws for a lot of touchdowns. And as Charles Power was telling me, like I said, the guy who does all of our rankings and scouting, he was like, look, he could be 5'10", 5'11". If he doesn't hit another growth spurt, he doesn't get above 6 foot. We've seen guys like this before. And look, Lincoln Riley was knocking down the door to get Peyton Houston to USC. Oklahoma wanted him badly. So kudos to LSU and Joe Sloan, everyone involved here for getting him in the boat, because a lot of people didn't think he would end up at LSU. We were talking about other guys in that class more than we were talking about Peyton Houston. But I was very curious of your opinion on this. So I saved it for today. Charles's comp is Chris Leak. So would you like a Chris Leak to be your quarterback? I'll take it.
The interesting thing about Chris Leak, though, I think there's the perception that he was a dual threat guy.
Right.
He was very much the pocket guy, and Tebow in 2006 in that championship year came in and sort of moved the offense on the ground. But Leak threw a beautiful ball. I mean, he was such a polished passer. And, of course, came into Baton Rouge in 2003 as a young player, as a freshman, and beat LSU that day in Tigers, the only loss the 2003 team had. Leak was incredible. Shea, what's interesting is I know from a fan perspective, I think everyone looks at Elijah Haven and sees that number 1 ranking by him and thinks, are we missing out on the best player to get another player? The more I hear, Shea, it kind of feels like maybe LSU's coaching staff is more bullish on Peyton Houston even than Haven. Not saying they don't want or wouldn't want Elijah Haven, but like that Peyton Houston was their top target. Am I missing there? Could you elaborate at all there?
I mean, look, I don't do any evaluating, so I'm no good at that side of it. But he's been the number 1 ranked player on the composite rankings. We have him as the number 7 quarterback, and he is one of those guys. And it's
Haven.
Credit to him. He was that. Yes, Haven is the number 7 quarterback on Rivals. On the industry rankings, he's number 1. But when rankings come out, which is out, again, I'll reference Charles here. He hates it because he's like, look, not many kids play as freshmen. Now, credit to Haven. He did at Dunham as a true freshman. So when you go out and you play very well and you're that size, you're going to be ranked very high. I just think as time goes on, you see more and more guys playing, as sophomores and then as juniors now, and the rankings start to flesh themselves out. So the kind of rule of thumb I've heard is if you love rankings, wait till kind of they start their senior year and everybody's already had at least a year under their belt. And then kind of, if not more, who are the best quarterbacks and who aren't. I mean, remember Bo Bentley, who went to OU over LSU. The only reason they were able to get involved there is because he didn't start till his junior year. So nobody was on him. So it kind of played out in LSU's favor, at least to be involved. I think that we've just had such a large sample size of Haven already that we've talked about him for a long time. So, but look, if you're just looking at stats, yeah, sure. And look, I'm not going to compare Evangel and Dunham, but Peyton Houston has set a lot of records for a reason. He's a really, really good high school quarterback. And I think people feel like that translates to college. And here's my take on it. I think that LSU would be pressing for the guy they wanted most. And it just seemed like that they were pressing for Peyton Houston. Now, I've been in the boat that I think that they take 2 quarterbacks, but when you have the portal and you don't really know who's going to still be on your roster and you're 2 years out from signing, it's impossible to know. It's we could be talking, Peyton Houston could go somewhere else. We could be talking about a Haven or a Nussmeier in this class. Like, I have no idea. But at this moment, I can't disagree with what you said, that it appears if you're going to take your very first commit and it's a quarterback, that you feel pretty good about that quarterback in a year when there's 3 quarterbacks in this state who have SEC offers, and there's one in your border state you recruit who not only has SEC offers, but he's your starter's little brother.
Yeah.
So, that obviously lends some credence to what you're saying of Peyton Houston's probably a pretty good player if they were willing to take him right now.
Get him at Shea Dixon on Twitter, X. A couple of other guys I want to ask you about. Easton Royal is a guy who took an LSU visit. Was it? I don't know, Shea, if some of the weeks are blending, if it was this week or if it was 2 weeks ago against Florida. But any idea how, give us the Cliffs Notes there on Easton Royal and how that visit went?
Yeah, I usually say with guys like that who are from within an hour range that they visit every game. And if I'm wrong, prove it. And then I'll admit it
Right.
because those guys just come every time. But this is when I love having a nephew who attends Brother Martin and is in his class and has been telling me about Easton Royal for a while. And then after they played their first game, he's like, "Did you see what Easton did last night?" And I was like, "Nah, but I know we have him ranked as the number 2 receiver in the country. Please tell me he did well." And he's like, "He caught 400 yards and, 10 touchdowns or whatever." And I'm like, all right, yeah, I guess this kid's pretty good. And I know we're redoing our 2027 rankings right now. And I was talking with them this morning, and they evidently, my nephew doesn't lie. And they said, "Hey, have you checked out Easton Royal's stat line?" And I just said, "I've heard about it. I heard it's pretty good." And they said, "Yeah, we dove through the film, and this kid's legit." So, yes, Brother Martin, home to the number 2 receiver at the moment. For next year, a guy who's definitely going to be a 5-star, but surprise, surprise, Louisiana puts out elite receivers, but boy, it looks like that next kind of very elite guy is going to be Easton Royal.
Shea, there's one other guy that I wanted to ask about, and that's the big 5-star offensive lineman, Emmanuel Iheanacho, who it was a pretty cool video of Lamar Brown and Iheanacho in the front row in Tiger Stadium a couple of weeks back. I know he's committed to Oregon. We all know number 1 5-star offensive lineman, all that stuff. Give me what we need to know here, Shea, about LSU's realistic opportunity of flipping him.
Sure. Look, they were rumored to be the number 2 team when he committed to Oregon over the summer. And now he's come out and said it, that, "Hey, look, I am visiting Penn State. That's the only other school." But he's going to Penn State for the Oregon game. So, I can put 2 and 2 together there. LSU was not playing Oregon. They were playing Florida, and he came in for that game. So if he doesn't go to Oregon, it'll be LSU. Now, what do you have to do to get him? They've already had an official visit, which brought his whole family here. But you saw him a lot with Lamar Brown. That was his host, kind of, for his return for his first game in Tiger Stadium. But he didn't have any family with him, so he was kind of just hanging out with all the recruits. So kudos to Lamar Brown there for spearheading the weekend. The goal, which they're working on and they feel like is going to happen, is get him back in town for a game closer to signing day with his family. And if you do that, then you got a real shot. If you don't, then you're on the outside looking in. And look, I don't think you can bank on what if Oregon has a bad season? That's not going to happen. Right. So you're going to need to out recruit them. And look, they've gone. I know people are going to sit around and say, and it's very true, that Oregon has an empty checkbook, pop thing, and they'll get anybody. Well, I saw LSU beat him out for DJ Pickett. I saw him beat him out for Deuce Gerald's this cycle, a top 10 D lineman. The one thing that's rough on Dan Lanning is he wants to recruit SEC territory and the best of the best, and sometimes Oregon's just far away. And Iheanacho's a kid from DC area, right? That's a trek. Yes, you can get on a flight and all that, but I think one thing that does play into LSU's favor is it's not on the other side of the country, right? You're looking at a completely different ocean over there. So we've got the Gulf down here. You can at least have that. It's in between. So I think they've got a shot here, Matt. I won't say it's imminent, but if they get him back to campus with his family, then it becomes really something to monitor, because very evidently, if you're committed, you're good to go, right? You're committed to that school. If you make 3 visits to another school that you openly admit is the other team that you would kind of wanted to go to, and you bring your family on 2 of them since you've committed, that's notable to me.
Actions speak louder than words. All right, short on time, but I wanted to also ask, any update on Blaine Bradford now that his senior season at Catholic has started, and I know he's been in Tiger Stadium now, of course, to see his brother play.
Yeah, I ask this every day to sources, and they say just give it time. I don't think they think it's imminent, but boy, he's in there and he's watching a defense that, boy, it's back to DBU, right, Matt? And a lot of these guys are on their way out. And Blaine Bradford looks like maybe the best safety in the country. So I'm keeping an eye on that one all the way to signing day. I don't have him sharpied into Ohio State. It's a pencil, and we'll see where it goes if I need to use my eraser. So, like you said, short on time, but I'll give you the phrase I have tattooed across my chest in recruiting. Watch what they do, not what they say. So let's see if Bradford doesn't continue to hang around the rest of the way.
Good stuff. Shea Dixon on 3, the Bengal Tiger. Get him on Twitter, X, at Shea Dixon. All right, man, thank you.
Thanks, Matt. I appreciate it.
All right, be well. It's after further review. Supper Club's back open tonight, y'all. Open Tuesday to Saturday. Tigers have a road game this weekend, 2:30 at Ole Miss. Maybe you watch the game and then go have a nice Saturday night out. No better place than Supper Club. Get your reservations right now. SupperClubBTR.com. SupperClubBTR.com. If you love steak, you've heard me talk plenty about all the amazing steak features and steak options they have. But no matter what you get, it will be the best of that you've ever had. If it's the veal parm, if it's the Chilean sea bass, if it's the Alaskan king crab legs, these are literally off the boats from the show The Deadliest Catch. As a matter of fact, when the crates come in, it has the name of the boat that they were caught from the show on the crates. When you go to Supper Club, it's just going to be the best dining experience and best experience you'll have anywhere. Get your reservations at SupperClubBTR.com. That's SupperClubBTR.com. All right, y'all, it is after further review. We'll knock out a quick break, go around the SEC. Mike Greenberg's here in about 45 minutes. AFR.
AFR. After further review, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
Over by the gate, Lordy, here she comes with a basket full of chicken and a big cold.
Health, for sure. To see if Austin's at 100%. These guys are really good, and they're loaded on defense, and they're the best they've been on defense since we've played them, obviously with the acquisitions that we talked about, and really shutting down the run. So we'll have to evaluate his health and then make a decision. Today was just a walkthrough, so not enough to evaluate. But at 100%, he was our starting quarterback, but we don't know what percentage he'll be.
Lane Kiffin playing coy. Don't blame him. Of course, Austin Simmons entered this season as Ole Miss's quarterback. 4 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. It's been up and down. He suffered the ankle injury. He was replaced by Trinidad Chambliss, who had an incredible game this past week against Tulane. 300 yards passing, 100 yards rushing. That hadn't been done in Ole Miss in like 50 years. I don't care who you're playing. That's an incredible day. And so it's interesting because they got a full-on controversy over there, as Lane might be trying to downplay it, but said if Austin Simmons is 100%, he's the quarterback, but everyone who follows that program, covers that program, thinks Trinidad Chambliss currently gives them the best opportunity to win. This weekend, it'll be Sean McDonough, Greg McElroy, Molly McGrath on the call for LSU and Ole Miss. And Molly McGrath was on SEC this morning and talked about Ole Miss and what they kind of felt like they were getting there when they brought in Trinidad Chambliss from Division II.
When we sat down with Lane Kiffin ahead of that Kentucky game, to end the interview, you ask a very open-ended question. Sean McDonough, our play-by-play, asked Lane Kiffin, what's something that we didn't ask about that you'd want us to know? And this was before Chambliss was even supposed to play. He said, I think that you should know that our backup quarterback is really, really good. Mm-hmm. Like, we are very excited about him. He is so good that I don't know how we got him, because he should be starting somewhere else in the SEC. But we got him, and we're really excited about his talent.
Trinidad Chambliss against Tulane was pretty incredible. 17 of 27 for 419 yards of total offense, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. He was great, and it'll be interesting to see. It's very likely the guy LSU is going to see this weekend. Lane Kiffin said if Austin Simmons is healthy, he's the starter. He ain't healthy. It's very likely you're going to see Trinidad Chambliss against LSU this weekend. But Brian Kelly actually was asked about preparing for 2 quarterbacks. And it was interesting because the comp he gave was like A&M a year ago, but the difference and why this might be a little bit easier. Number 9.
In some instances, it would be like Texas A&M last year. Those are two different quarterbacks. One was a pro-style quarterback, and one was certainly a dual threat that could run zone reads, do things of that nature. And it changes you dramatically. This week, both these quarterbacks are similar. And now, they have different skill sets in terms of but they can run the same offense with both of these players. So I'm not saying it's easier. It's hard, right? You've got two really good players, but it's not as that one is a pro-style quarterback and is not going to run, and the other one is simply a dual threat. They're both very similar.
That makes a lot of sense, right? The player, obviously they're different players, but the style of offense doesn't change with Simmons and Chambliss. Whereas when you look at, for example, the A&M game that Kelly referenced, you started that game against Connor Wegman, who was not very much of a running threat, and you had bottled him up. He was 6 of 18 for 64 yards in that game. When they pulled him in the third quarter, went to Marcel Reed, and that introduced a completely new dynamic. You want an older reference if you're an LSU fan? Go back to 2001 SEC Championship. When Rohan Davey gets knocked out of the game against Tennessee, what changed that game when Matt Mauck went in? Mauck's ability to run the football. That's what changed the whole dynamic of that game, and Tennessee wasn't ready for it. So with this instance, whether you're preparing for Simmons or Chambliss, and they're different players, obviously, but they're still running the same offense stylistically. So it doesn't necessarily change what LSU's looking to do. Be fascinating to see who else ultimately is under center. You got to believe it'll probably be Chambliss on Saturday. All right, we're brought to you by Parish Restoration. Told you yesterday, how about it? The quarterback of the Tigers, Garrett Nussmeier, did an NIL deal with Parish Restoration, and he did the deal because Jim Woodworth treated Garrett's home. So Garrett, is engaged. He and his fiance bought their first house together, and they had mold. They had a mold problem. And they discovered the mold problem, and so Parish Restoration came in and dry fogged their home for them, knocked out the mold. So it's good enough for Garrett Nussmeier and the future Mrs. Nussmeier. Good enough for you and me, our home, office buildings, any commercial building. If it's mold, other sanitization properties, if it's to get rid of odor, Parish Restoration. It is a more cost-effective, more effective way of getting rid of mold and remediation in your home or your office building. ParishRestoration.com. Go to the website, fill out the form on the homepage, ParishRestoration.com, ParishRestoration.com. All right, do it every day about this time. Let's go around the SEC.
Around the SEC, bringing you the biggest news from the nation's best conference, the Florida Gators.
Starting quarterback DJ Lagway is back in a boot, treating an undisclosed injury following Florida's loss to Miami. Previously was in a boot late in the offseason, treating that calf strain, was limited throughout much of fall camp. A source told On3 that they expressed confidence in Lagway's ability to be ready for Texas on October the 4th.
The Auburn Tigers.
Center Connor Liu said he feels good and expects to play against Texas A&M. He sprained his MCL in the loss to Oklahoma this past weekend, but should be good to go. Kickoff for the Aggies and Auburn set for 2:30 on ESPN.
The South Carolina Gamecocks.
Shane Beamer didn't go into specifics with the team going to Kentucky, but did mention that Judge Collier, one of their starting cornerbacks, is back at practice, trending in the right direction. Collier hasn't played since exiting the season opener against Virginia Tech with a knee injury. Collier's played in 26 games with 16 starts. So if they get him back this week against Kentucky, that'd be a big get for the Gamecocks.
Texas A&M!
Mike Elko gave an update on Bryce Anderson and Scooby Williams. Anderson, of course, a safety, will not be available Saturday against Auburn with a head-neck injury that he suffered this past weekend. And then Scooby Williams, day-to-day with an ankle injury. Williams played just 29 snaps against Notre Dame before leaving late in the second period.
The Missouri Tigers.
And defensive back Caleb Flagg has left the program. He will redshirt in 2025. Mizzou today was the first to report it. Flagg played in Missouri's first 4 games of this season, but will not play anymore. He transferred to Mizzou ahead of the 2024 season after starting his career for 2 years at Houston Christian. So Flagg now will take the red shirt this year and look to enter the portal and finish his career somewhere else. All right, there you have it. That is Around the SEC. Tuesday shows are powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. It is Ole Miss week, of course. Our friends over at Sunshine have done cool NIL deals in the past with the Weeks brothers. It was interesting. I think they're going to post this video, but there's a cool video of my friend Grace Vest of Sunshine sitting between the two Weeks brothers asking, it was before the season, what's the one game they had to win? And both of them said Ole Miss. They were jabbing Grace a little bit, who's an Ole Miss alum. But anyway, new meeting this week with Whit Weeks now and his girlfriend, Lane Kiffin's daughter, Landry. Their Instagram official, what do they say? The hard launch? That's what the kids call it.
That's what it's called.
A hard launch.
A hard launch.
That's great. Congrats to him. I wish him a lifetime of success. Sincerely, I hope they're great. All right, it's after further review. We'll knock out a quick break. Mike Gundy got fired today. Naturally, every time a coach gets fired, I'm going to look at the coaching odds list to see if Blake Baker's name's on it. We'll tell you the odds list is out right now for Oklahoma State. That's next. It's AFR.
AFR.
Get Gordon and get it done. Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys. You've been injured in an accident. It's not your fault. Do what injured people in our state have done for 3 decades. Get Gordon and get it done. And thanks to Gordon, who was here with us yesterday talking a little NIL. It was interesting. We were talking about all the money the donors are spending in NIL and coaching salaries and buyouts. And I said, you were wondering about donor fatigue. He said, yeah, but not quite as serious when you're 4-0. It's such a good line. It's so true as well. In any event, listen, the bottom line is we have fun when we talk about Gordon. They like to have fun as well, and they like to give back to the community. We talked about the Billboard Design Contest, but there's so many ways Gordon's giving back. GordonGives.com is the website for the philanthropic arm of the firm. GordonGives.com. You can learn more about the laptop giveaways during graduation, the bike giveaways during Christmas, all the different ways that they give back. But ultimately, if you've been injured and you need representation, go to getgordon.com, getgordon.com. Get Gordon and get it done.
After further review, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
She's even kind of crazy about my farmer's tan. She's the only one who really understands what gets me. She thinks my tractor's sexy.
Wrapping up hour number 1. Mike Gundy was fired today at Oklahoma State. That was an inevitability. We all knew it. You lose to Toledo, it's going to go that way. Tulsa, not Toledo. It doesn't really. That's the point. You lost to a team that has a forgettable name. Brandon Marcello from CBS Sports reacted to the firing and the timing.
Yeah, I was there Friday night in Stillwater during the loss, and it was clear that it was over. There's just been a very discombobulated mess with the administration there. It was a matter of time before they all got on the same page and made this decision to move on. They've lost 11 straight FBS games, and you've got a head coach in Mike Gundy who has refused to change his ways in a lot of ways. And as a result, he's had to kind of quickly try to catch up the last 2 years through the transfer portal. They had over 60 new players on the roster this season, including 40 plus from the transfer portal. And the problem is that those additions from the transfer portal are not great players. They're just good to average players. And when you throw that all in the mix, on top of a base, a foundation last year, they only won 3 games, you get this disaster you're seeing now in Stillwater.
So UCLA, Virginia Tech, Oklahoma State now all with head coach openings after firing their coaches midseason. Odds are out for the next head coach fired. We've got these up at louisianasports.net. It should come as no surprise to anyone. The betting favorite is Billy Napier, as everyone expects bad to get worse. Billy Napier, then Sam Pittman, then Luke Fickell. Those are the betting favorites to be the next fired. Of greater interest, though, I don't think anybody here necessarily really cares about Oklahoma State or them firing their coach. It's only a matter of that you care to the degree that it affects you and me. And the thing that I'm going to keep an eye on throughout this entire hiring cycle, especially if LSU's defense continues to play the way that it is where Blake Baker's name starts to show up in a lot of these lists. It is no secret Blake Baker wants to be a head coach and will be a head coach and could very well be a head coach in this hiring cycle. But Oklahoma State, G.J. Kinn is at the top of the list, followed by Zach Robinson, Ben Arbuckle, the Oklahoma offensive coordinator, John Gruden, Colin Klein, Jeff Traylor, Deion Sanders, John Summerall, Tommy Rees, Andy Koletnicki, Will Stein, Jeff Monken, Eric Morris. Go down the list, and you're not going to find Blake Baker's name. So a little bit of an exhale spot there that Oklahoma State, in any event, doesn't appear to be interested in Blake Baker. That could change. Long way to go for the end of the season. But every time a coach is fired, I'm going to look at those odds lists and see if Blake Baker's name pops up on it, because That's one I think we're all going to be sweating this offseason. All right, it's After Further Review. We're brought to you by Evamore, EVAMOR. Had to run to the store this morning. Had to get some eye drops for my eyes. Went into the cooler, saw a 64-ounce bottle of Evamore, grabbed it. Go to your local retailer, wherever it may be. Grab an Evamore. Grab a 6-pack of the 12-pack of the 20-ounce bottles. Grab the 64-ounce bottle. Ask for it by name. If they don't have it, ask them why. It's Evamore. EVAMOR. Evamore.com. Hour 2 after SportsCenter.
AFR.
And I was going to the store, actually, to get eye drops because as part of my LASIK that I had 7 years ago, the only maintenance that I have to do is every morning and every night I use re-wetting drops. Just one drop, boop, boop, each eye, just for to keep your eyes moisturized. That's it. That's the only maintenance I have to do. One drop each eye, morning and night. It's incredible. You avoid dry eye, you avoid the fuzziness, all that sort of stuff. I'm telling you, 7 years removed from LASIK, and I couldn't be more thrilled with the results, with the lasting result. Here as I'm 43 years old and still seeing better than 20/20. You know, there's this misconception that LASIK wears off. It doesn't. It's just that other parts of your eye age. And I'll tell you, the day comes, I'll look at another procedure because the Williamson Eye Center made it happen for me.